Oh, what a sleepy little baby. Okay, are we good? Okay, hi, hello. Okay, so I know I still have to do my two Foxhole Court favorite quote videos. I still have to cover the second and the third book, but I just really quickly, hopefully, and randomly wanted to do a bookshelf tour, but I didn't want to do a full-scale bookshelf tour because that would take a long time. So I figured I could start small and start with my manga bookshelf, which is this right here behind me. I really like manga, if you can't tell. If you are not into manga and you're wondering if you should try, my advice, go for it. Just be aware that it's very expensive, because a normal volume of manga, like this right here, this is a normal size for a volume of manga. In the US, which is where I'm from, it's $10 a pop, and you can read this in essentially about an hour. If you want to get into it, like I said, a lot of good stories to experience. So I guess we should just get started. So I will start with the top shelf that doesn't have books on it, but I'm kind of pretty proud of it. So let us go. Okay, I'm switching angles real quick just for this top shelf, just so I can get y'all a better view of it. So going from left to right, I've got my snake plant here, and then over here I've got this. This says home is where the plants are, and this is just something I found on the internet and printed it out, and then it's just in a very thin, very cheap picture frame that I got from Walmart. And then I've got below that, I've got the Area X, or the Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer. I have not read this yet, but I'm excited to read it whenever I get to it. And then over here, I've got my pink Himalayan sea salt lamp resting on a little coaster just so it doesn't mess up the shelf. I really like this little guy. I think he's cute. All right, so that's the first shelf, and then we will switch back to the previous angle to go over the actual books. Okay, and we're back. So starting with how I have them organized, predominantly it is starting here and going this way, favorites, and then it kind of goes to least favorites, but also just because of the size of the shelf, I did kind of have to alter some things just for size constraints. So they're mostly done by favorites, but a few are out of place just because they wouldn't fit where I wanted them to go. So first off, we have Fairy Tail. I have the first 10 volumes of Fairy Tail, and this is by far, I believe, my favorite manga and anime. It is the one that got me into anime, if that makes sense. It's not the first one I ever saw. I've seen a couple. I saw a couple before I ever watched this one. Like, I watched Psycho Pass, Say I Love You, and Seven Deadly Sins before I watched Fairy Tail. But Fairy Tail was the one that got me hooked on it, if that makes sense. And the next, I have, tight fit, okay. I have Inuyasha in these ginormous 3-in-1 collections. I love Inuyasha. It is on my bucket list to finish the anime because I haven't done that yet. But I absolutely love Inuyasha. Oops. Okay. Next, I have Did I say I have 3? Yeah, I have 3 volumes of Inuyasha. Well, I guess technically 9, considering these are 3 in 1, but whatever. Next, I have, I just bent the cover, the first 5 volumes of Soul Eater. I did finish the anime, so I am interested to see if I ever finish the manga, how it ends differently, because I do know the anime has an anime-only ending. But I do really like Soul Eater, and I'm starting to realize about myself that I'm a sucker for anything that's like magic school. Anything that's kind of got that concept in it, it's a win for me. So, next is, well, okay, I guess I'll talk about this one. I have not read this yet. This is just up here because I didn't really have anywhere else for it. And I actually don't know that much about it, but it's called Abara. I don't know that much about this story. I will admit, one of the only reasons I bought it was because I flipped through it and saw this one picture in it, and that one picture made me be like, yes, I want to buy this. This right here, this picture, I saw this and it made me want to read the story because, like, what's this? What's going on here? I'm intrigued. I'm not usually one for horror. Horror is actually kind of a genre I generally avoid because I get scared really easy, but this seemed very interesting. So, put that back up there. Actually, let me set it over here just so I can reach the other volumes. Next, I have the first 5 collector's edition, whatever, Fruits Basket. I absolutely love Fruits Basket. I love the original anime, and I'm super excited that they're revamping it because I've heard that with this revamp, they're planning on animating the whole story, which is exciting. I've seen a few episodes of it, but I haven't watched more than that, although I am very excited to. But I love the manga. Next, I have, oh, come here. The first 3 volumes of number 6, which is another story I really like. The anime is really good. The manga is good too. This is one of those stories that the stores don't really keep in stock, along with Kami-sama Kiss, which you'll see here somewhere. But I really like it, and interesting enough, this was originally a book series, but the books were never officially translated into English. But if you go online, and I think you can just search like number 6 book translation, you'll come across a blog post that has Rain in the title. I don't remember the full name of it, I just remember it has like Rain in the title. And they've translated it to English, and it's actually a really decent translation, like a pretty good translation. Alright, so second shelf. Up here we've got the first volume of Toradora. I absolutely love the anime. I think it's the cutest thing ever. So whenever I saw that they made a manga out of it, so I saw this and I had to buy it. Next, set that down. Okay. I have the first 2 volumes of Vampire Knight. I have said it in the past and I'll say it again. This is the one story that I will consider my guilty pleasure anime and manga because I can fully understand and appreciate that it is very tropey and cheesy and overdramatic, but it's still really good. Except the ending of the anime. I do not like the ending of the anime. I have very strong feelings about the ending of the anime, and I could give a whole rant episode video thing about my feelings of the ending of the anime because I have very strong feelings about it. That actually probably would be a pretty cool video, I think. Let me know if you want me to do like a probably very long, definitely very passionate video about how I feel about the ending of the anime a vampire night because I've got opinions. Okay, next I have 3 volumes of Kami-sama Kiss. This is another one that they don't really keep in stock in stores. I absolutely love Kami-sama Kiss. I think it's adorable and hilarious. And another fun story, if you've watched the 2 seasons of the anime, I definitely recommend trying to find this OVA called Kami-sama Kiss Kako Hin, because it's labeled as an OVA, but I see it more as like a sequel movie, because it wraps up some of the loose ends that the anime didn't really touch, specifically focusing on Tomoe and his past, because that's essentially all that the OVA is. It explains that, because the anime definitely introduced his past, but they didn't really elaborate on it. About a couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, whenever I first watched the anime, I stumbled across it, and Kako Hin was on YouTube, but I don't know if the whole thing would still be, but if you can, I definitely recommend trying to watch that, because it wraps up everything nicely. Alright, next I have the first 5 volumes of 7 Deadly Sins. This is another manga / anime that I just really enjoy. I'm definitely, if you can't tell from my manga collection, and you'll definitely be able to tell if I ever get around to doing like a full bookshelf tour, fantasy, sci-fi, those kind of genres are definitely my favorite. So this is definitely that, plus it also adds the like medieval setting, which is another plus for me. And it has one of my favorite character archetypes, which is a character that comes across as very, I don't know, what's the best way to describe it? Like, characters like Meliodas that come across as very just kind of like, I don't want to say childish, because I don't think that has the right connotation to it, but like kind of childish, kind of just full of wonder, very optimistic, but then you can start to see that they have kind of a darker side to them, usually taking the form of like a tragic backstory. Characters like that, my sweet spot. So I really like this. I am not caught up to date with the anime because I saw the first season, but then I didn't keep up whenever they started releasing more episodes. I probably should though, because season 1 definitely ended on a cliffhanger. Next, I have all the volumes of Akuma no Riddle, because this is a very short story. There are only 5 volumes. I really like this story too. The anime is very good. The anime is only 11 episodes long, and it definitely is very faithful to this. The only thing that I really noticed that was different was they cut out a couple scenes from the manga to the anime, and then the ending is a little different, because the ending of the anime, how do I explain this without giving spoilers? The ending of the anime shows them as still kids, whereas in the manga, the ending scene, epilogue, what have you, shows them as adults. So, a little different. Overall, very good. I do think the anime would have benefited if they were able to have the full 12 episodes instead of 11. Then they probably wouldn't have to cut out as much. But that's not really a complaint, it's just an observation, because I still really like this in both manga and anime form. Next is, I have 3 things of the 3-in-1 of Full Metal Alchemist. This is another one that I haven't watched the anime, and it's on my bucket list of things to finish, because I have not seen either the original 2003 or Brotherhood, but I definitely plan to. Hopefully Netflix doesn't take it off before I get around to doing that. It's great. It's really good. I have read the manga, and I have seen a good handful of episodes, and it's just a good story. It's just really good. It's really funny. Next is this absolute monstrosity of Azumanga Dao. Azumanga Dao. Yeah. I have not read all of this. I've only read a little bit of it. I bought this whenever I bought this whenever Arcata from Glass Reflection did a review of the anime. Haven't watched the anime because I haven't found a way to watch it. Next I have the first 5 volumes of Tokyo ESP. This is another one that I really like the manga and the anime. And I read this like a good few years ago, so I can't really remember, but I feel like, barring the fact that in the manga, the main character actually ends up in a relationship with her romantic interest, I feel like, and in the anime she doesn't, I feel like they are very similar. I definitely, if I can give my 2 cents, I definitely think I prefer the 2 younger kids, the girl that can hold things and see into the past, and then the guy that can see into the boy that can see into the future. I definitely like them and their relationship more than the main character and her romantic interest. I just find the younger, I don't want to call them kids because they're not kids, but the 2 younger ones, I definitely find them just more interesting. But I do really like the kind of concepts that this story goes into. And another fun thing is you can buy just the first 3 volumes and that be the whole story, because you can see like the first 3 volumes have this kind of symbol on them, and then 4 and 5 are a star, and they actually are kind of a bit of a spin-off because it takes place, I believe, a year after the 3rd one, and I believe it follows has a different person be the main character. So another one that if you just want a quick story, you can just buy the first 3 and call it good. Next, after I watched the anime on Netflix, I went out and impulsively bought the first 4 volumes of Beastar, because I just had to. I really like the anime. I'm excited to see more. I hope we get more. I know it's been compared to like a more mature version of Zootopia, so if I'm beating a dead horse by saying that to describe this, I'm sorry, but it kind of is a little bit, not except, it's basically a more mature version of Zootopia, but set in a high school instead of the workforce. But I really like the characters, specifically Legacy. He's just such a dork. I love him so much. Alright, next we have, we're stuck together. Alright, there we go. I have the first 4 volumes of Angels of Death. I saw the anime, I really liked it, so Callie just woke up from a nap. So I got a few volumes of the manga. I haven't read a lot of this, so I can't say if the anime and manga are similar, but I'm excited. We're kind of getting to that point where I feel like most of, like all of this up here, barring maybe that, I've read everything on the shelf, so I can talk a little more in depth about it, whereas once we get like to this point, it gets a little dicey on if I've read it or not. But I really liked the anime. I thought it was interesting. And Zach is my favorite character just because he reminds me a lot of Natsu in the fact of he's just an impulsive hothead who doesn't know when to walk away from a fight, and I just find those type of characters relentlessly entertaining. Next, please don't judge me because I am fully aware that this next series is a kids series, but I think it's cute and adorable, and I don't want to be made fun of for enjoying content made for kids. So we've got Shukochara. I did watch the anime of this, potentially, probably illegally, whoops, but it's just a really cute story. It's kind of like Miraculous Ladybug, again another kids show that I refuse to feel bad for enjoying, because I'm mentally immature enough to enjoy kids' content, for the most part. Alright. Moving down, see, I won't be able to really show you. Here's the last shelf. So, I guess I can start with this, because this will just get in the way. This is, Berserk. Have not read this. It is very big and heavy. Have not read this. I've heard it's really good. I kind of want to watch the anime. And I've heard that the anime is basically just a prequel to the manga. So that'll be interesting, but I kind of want to watch the anime before I read, if it is a prequel. So, setting that aside, just to get it out of the way. The first thing we have, something I haven't read. I've got the first 5 volumes of Land of the Lustrous. I love the covers for this. I don't know, I just get a very Alice in Wonderland feel from the covers. They're just gorgeous. I've heard good things, haven't read to confirm. Next, I have something I have read, actually, and that's Naruto. I think it's good for what it is, you know, a little... I was about to say action-packed shonen, but then I kind of realized that would be redundant. So, I don't really have anything to say about this other than Kakashi's my favorite character. Yeah. Next, I have Sir Vamp. I definitely think it's a fun show. The anime is really cool. And it's really funny to see Kuro and Mahiru interact because, like I said, Mahiru is someone that really likes to just keep things simple, uncomplicated, just... yeah. And then Kuro is just a very, he's the, oh no, I can't say that because that would get too confusing. He's just very lazy. Very, very lazy. So it's funny to see them interact because they bicker and argue all the time. Alright. Next is something I do actually have a few opinions on. And that is, oh wait, no, sorry. I forgot this was, what I have opinions on is coming up next. Next is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? I think I've only read about halfway through this, and I've only seen a few, maybe 1 or 2 of the episodes. So I don't really know much about this story, other than it's set in medieval fantasy, so that's a plus. And the main character is kind of an adventurer who wants to essentially up his XP, and then he falls in love with a girl he meets while trying to do that. That's all I got. Okay. Next is the thing I have opinions about, and that is Noragami. I have the first 5 volumes. I really like the anime. I think the anime is actually very interesting. Can't say I'm a big fan of the manga because of one specific reason, and that's Yato. Because in the manga, he's kind of, I was talking about Meliodas, he's kind of the same character. He comes across as a very optimistic character, someone who does, he wants to help people, albeit so that he can become famous and popular, but he wants to help people. He's very, again, childlike, but whenever I say childlike, I don't mean he acts childish, I just mean he's childlike in the sense of he has just a lot of wonder and amazement towards the world. And again, he kind of has a darker side, which is kind of like Meliodas, a tragic past. And that's kind of his character in the anime, and I really like that character. It's a bit different in the manga. He's a bit more cynical in the manga. He's kind of more of a jerk. He's more mean-spirited, cynical. He doesn't really seem to care that much about people. So that's why I can't really enjoy the manga as much as the anime. Maybe if I was to read more than just the first volume, that would kind of change and I would like it more, but just, it's weird. It's a little weird seeing his character be so vastly different. But yeah. Next is, I own about 9 volumes of Tokyo Ghoul. This is another one. I love the artwork for the cover. So pretty. This is definitely one, kind of like Abara. I have to be in a certain mood to enjoy something kind of this horror-esque, but it's definitely a cool story. I haven't read a lot or seen a lot of it, so I can't really go in depth about it. Next, I have the only Attack on Titan thing I will ever buy, and I will give a reason for that in a second, and that is Attack on Titan No Regrets, which is kind of just Levi's backstory about him joining the Survey Corps. The reason this is the only Attack on Titan thing I'll ever buy is because I have seen the anime. I've seen the first season, and in my opinion, it really starts going, like, picking up speed, traction, and actually getting good whenever he joins the Survey Corps. But it takes a while for him to do that. It's like halfway through season 1 before that happens. And I don't want to spend a lot of money on a story and have to buy so many volumes before it starts to get good. And maybe the manga's not like that, I don't know, but that's why. But yeah, Levi, my favorite character from the show. This is his backstory, so yeah. Next, I have the first 8 volumes of Devil's Line, which, the way I describe this to everyone, it's basically Tokyo Ghoul, but instead of ghouls, they're vampires. Everything else is pretty much the same. And it's a bit more shoujo. It kind of focuses a bit more on the relationship between the main girl and the main guy. But that's essentially what this is. That's kind of like how Seraph of the End, I describe that as being like Attack on Titan, except shoujo and with vampires instead of titans. Next is something I read a long time ago called My Little Monster. I own only the first volume, and the story to this one, at least in this first volume, is a little interesting because what this is these two people, I'm not going to try to pronounce their names, but he is fully convinced that he's in love with her, and she's kind of more of the, I don't know, cold and stoic type, so she's like, nah, no, not happening. But then even by the end of the first volume, their opinions kind of flip, and that she kind of starts to realize she maybe does have feelings for him, and she even notes that sometimes he, whenever he's like trying to say like, I love you, I'm in love with you, to her it kind of feels like he's just putting on an act. So this is actually one that I would be kind of interested to read more of, just to see where that relationship goes, because I do think that's pretty interesting, and it would be interesting to see if their roles flip. Kind of reminds me of the movie Flipped. I don't remember anything about that movie, except I'm pretty sure the main person sounds exactly like Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's all I got. Next is The Devil's Part-Timer. I love the anime. I didn't find the manga as funny. And maybe that's just because, you know, something being in video format being versus on paper format. But I definitely recommend watching the anime. It is hilarious. Next, I have 2 volumes of Psychum, which is, I haven't read it. Oh, you can see my dog tore up the back cover of this. I haven't read it, but from what I understand, it's basically a high school or some kind of school that criminals get sent to. And then final thing is something else I haven't read, I have 2 volumes of Erased. I do want to watch the anime since the anime just recently came to Netflix, but this is about someone. This is about someone who has a power to go back in time to fix mistakes, essentially. And one day he gets sent back, and usually it only sends him back like a few minutes to fix something, but one day it sends him back to his childhood days, and he has to figure out why he got sent back so far. So that was my manga bookshelf tour. This definitely took a lot longer than I was expecting, but let me know if you would like to get a bookshelf tour, because that is something I would be interested in doing. And if you have any other ideas, sorry. If you have any other ideas or suggestions for videos, as always, just leave them in the comments, because I'll take any suggestions I can get. All right. Bye. My dog is staring at me. This first shelf is really tight. Okay. Bye. Oh, I should probably say the creators. So, Fairy Tail is Hiro, and I apologize if I mispronounce any names. Please go easy on me. Fairy Tail is written and drawn by Hiro Mishima. Inuyasha, Rumiko okay, no, I'm not gonna do names. Oh wait, is this it? Maybe. I found it and I just lost it. So next I have, I've only read the first 3 volumes because this is, I understand it's ridiculous. Listen, I talked about Tokyo ESP, and those people get superpowers from magical floating fish that only not everyone can see, okay? I think we passed the realm of ridiculous, and we just have to, take it at this point. Hi. Well, could not tell you, because I don't remember what compelled me to buy Naruto. I don't want to say I'm not a fan of Naruto, because I feel like that says that I don't like it. I just haven't consumed a lot of the story. This is the only manga I've read, the first 3 volumes, and I've only seen a handful of the anime. If you don't know what it's about this guy. What's his name? Oh yeah, Kin. I'm just gonna call him Kin, because I don't want to try to pronounce his last name. Or his first name. Kin, I gotta put all this back. I say put all of this, it's just a few.